Jake Morrison sat in the big round room and watched the aliens talk. The room was huge and made of shiny metal. It floated in space around a distant planet. Light from 3 different suns came through the tall windows and made rainbow colors on the walls. The aliens did not like humans very much. Jake could tell by the way they looked at him. Their eyes were cold and mean. Some had scales like fish, others looked like giant bugs. A few were made of living rock that glowed with soft blue light. The alien with the long neck and purple skin was talking now. His name was something Jake could not say right. The alien spoke in a voice that sounded like broken glass. The humans take too much space, the alien said. They build cities on planets that do not belong to them. They make weapons that are too strong. They do not follow the rules we made for them. Jake felt his hands make fists under the table. The other humans in the room looked angry too. Lisa Warren sat in the back row. She was a captain in Earth's Space Navy. Her face was red and her jaw was tight. More aliens stood up to talk. They all said the same thing. Humans were bad, humans were dangerous. Humans needed to be stopped. A tall alien made of living crystal spoke next. Its voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. We vote to limit the humans to 12 star systems only, it said. No more than that. They can have no big ships. They can have no strong weapons. We will watch them always. The room filled with noise. Hundreds of aliens clicked and buzzed and roared their agreement. Jake looked around and saw something that made his stomach hurt. The Vorthon Empire and the Crystal People were working together. These two groups had fought wars for thousands of years. They hated each other more than anything. But now they both hated humans more. That scared Jake more than anything else. A short alien with too many arms raised all of them at once. I have more to say, it called out. The humans need watchers on all their ships. We will put our people on every human vessel. We will make sure they do not break our new rules. The room got very quiet. Jake could hear his own heart beating. He could hear Lisa take a sharp breath behind him. This was worse than they thought it would be. The aliens did not just want to limit humans. They wanted to control them completely. Jake stood up slowly. His chair made a loud scraping sound on the metal floor. Every alien in the room turned to look at him. He could feel their eyes like cold fire on his skin. We came here in peace, Jake said. His voice was strong and clear. We joined your council because we wanted to be friends. We shared our science with you. We helped you fight your wars. We saved some of your worlds from disease and hunger. An alien that looked like a giant spider clicked its many legs together. You did those things because you wanted something from us, it said. Maybe, Jake said. But we also did them because it was right. We thought you were our friends. We thought this council was about working together. We were wrong. Jake picked up the small computer pad from his table. He pressed a few buttons and his words appeared in the air above his head in letters of light. Every alien in the room could read them in their own language. Earth withdraws from the Galactic Council, Jake read. Starting now, we will remove all our people from Council space in 3 days. We will take back all the technology we shared. With you. We will close all trade agreements. We are done with all of this. The room exploded into noise. Aliens jumped up from their seats. Some roared in anger. Others made sounds like laughing. A few looked scared. Jake gathered his papers and started walking toward the door. The other humans followed him. Lisa caught up to him in the hallway outside. That was either very brave or very stupid, she said. Maybe both, Jake said. But I could not sit there and let them put chains on us. They walked through the long corridors of the space station. Other aliens stared at them as they passed. Some looked angry, some looked pleased. That worried Jake. Why would some aliens be happy that humans were leaving? In the docking bay, their ship waited for them. It was small and white with blue stripes on the sides. The name Freedom was painted on the nose in big letters. As they got ready to leave, Lisa showed Jake something on her computer. I recorded some of the alien communications during the meeting, she said. Look at this. Jake looked at the screen. The words were in several alien languages, but the computer translated them. The messages were between the spider aliens and the crystal people and the rock aliens. They were all talking about something called the Old Fleet, and the sleeping ones and the time of cleansing. "What does this mean?" Jake asked. "I don't know," Lisa said. "But it sounds like they were planning something even before we walked out of that meeting." Their ship pulled away from the station and turned toward Earth. Through the window, Jake could see other ships moving in the darkness. Big ships, warships. They were heading in different directions, toward different parts of the galaxy. Jake had a bad feeling that leaving the council was just the beginning of their problems. Something bigger was coming. Something that would make their argument with the council look like a small disagreement between children. The stars looked different. Now as they flew toward home, they looked colder and more distant. Jake wondered if humans would ever feel safe in space again. He wondered if they had just made the biggest mistake in their history, or if they had done the only thing they could do to survive. Behind them, the space station grew smaller and smaller until it looked like just another star in the black sky. But Jake knew it was still there, and he knew the aliens were still making plans in their big round room. Plans that probably did not include letting humans live in peace. 3 months had passed since Jake Morrison walked out of the council meeting. The galaxy felt different now. It felt darker and more dangerous. Matt Collins stood on the balcony of his office on New Denver. The planet was one of humanity's newest colonies. Green fields stretched to the horizon under a yellow sun. It looked peaceful, but Matt knew that peace would not last long. His computer beeped with a new message. Matt sat down and read it carefully. The message came from one of his friends who still worked in council space. The friend could not use his real name anymore. It was too dangerous. The message was short, but scary. The Vorthon Empire was talking to the Crystal Hegemony. These two groups had been enemies for hundreds of years. They had fought wars that killed billions of people. But now they were working together. The message said they were planning something big. Matt sent the information to Earth right away. President Helen Torres needed to know about this. On Earth, President Torres sat in a room deep under the ground. The room had no windows and thick walls. General Rick Davis sat across from her. He was the head of all Earth's military forces. His face looked tired and worried. "Show me the reports," President Torres said. General Davis put a small device on the table. Pictures appeared in the air above it. The pictures showed alien ships gathering near the edges of human space. Lots of ships. Big ships with weapons. "The Kresh Consortium has moved 50 warships to the Proxima area," General Davis said. "That's 5 times more ships than they usually keep there. And look at this." The picture changed. It showed a huge ship that looked like it was made of black metal and sharp edges. Strange lights pulsed along its sides. "We've never seen anything like this before," General Davis said. "Our computers can't identify what kind of ship it is. But the energy readings are off the charts." Kate Phillips walked into the room. She was in charge of gathering information about alien activities. She looked like she had not slept in days. "I have bad news," Kate said. "We intercepted some alien communications. They keep talking about something called the Forgotten Armada, and they mentioned something called the Sleeping Fleet." President Torres felt cold. "What does that mean?" "We're not sure yet," Kate said. "But we asked Dr. Ben Rodriguez to look into it. He knows more about old alien history than anyone else." Dr. Rodriguez came in a few minutes later. He was an old man with white hair and thick glasses. He carried a stack of old books and computer pads. "I've been researching all night," Dr. Rodriguez said. "The Forgotten Armada refers to something from the Xenarch Wars. That was 300 years ago." "Tell us about the Xenarchs," President Torres said. Dr. Rodriguez sat down and opened one of his books. The Xenarchs were the most dangerous species the galaxy ever knew. They didn't just conquer planets. They consumed them. They turned entire worlds into fuel for their war machines. Their ships could adapt to any weapon used against them. Every time someone shot at them, their armor got stronger. "What happened to them?" General Davis asked. "Everyone thought they were destroyed in the Great Purge," Dr. Rodriguez said. "The entire galaxy worked together to wipe them out. It was the only time all the alien species ever agreed on anything. But maybe they weren't destroyed. Maybe they were just sleeping." Kate Phillips put another device on the table. This morning we lost contact with the mining station at Titan's Reach. Before they went silent, they sent this message. A man's voice filled the room. He sounded scared and out of breath. This is Commander Brown at Titan's Reach. We're under attack. The ships, they're not like anything we've seen before. They're black, and they move wrong. They're not following normal physics. Oh God, they're learning. Every shot we fire, they adapt to it. We can't stop them. They're coming through the hull now. If anyone gets this message, tell Earth to run. Tell them to run as far and fast as they can. The message ended with the sound of screaming and then silence. The room was quiet for a long time. Finally, President Torres spoke. How many human ships do we have? She asked. About 200 combat vessels, General Davis said, plus maybe 300 civilian ships that could be armed if we had time. And how many ships do our enemies have? General Davis looked at his notes. Based on our intelligence, the combined alien fleets have over 2,000 warships. If the Xenarchs are really back, we don't know how many ships they might have. President Torres stood up and walked to a map on the wall. It showed all the human colonies scattered across dozens of star systems. Red dots marked the places where human ships had disappeared in the last month. We're not just outnumbered, she said. We're surrounded. The aliens have ships positioned around most of our colonies. If they attack all at once, we won't be able to defend everyone. What are your orders? General Davis asked. President Torres studied the map for a long time. Start bringing our people home. The colonies that are too far away to defend, evacuate them now. Pull our ships back to form a defensive line around Earth and our core systems, and get every scientist we have working on new weapons. If the Xenarchs are really back, we're going to need every advantage we can get. What about asking for help? Kate Phillips asked. Maybe some of the alien species will side with us. President Torres shook her head. After what happened at the council, I don't think we can trust any of them. We're on our own now. As the meeting ended, President Torres looked out at the stars through a small window. Somewhere out there, ancient enemies were waking up. Old alliances were forming between species that should hate each other, and humanity stood alone in the middle of it all. She wondered if the human race would still exist in a year. She wondered if Earth would become just another dead world consumed by the Xenarch war machine. But she also knew that humans had survived worse things before. They had fought through ice ages and plagues and wars. They had reached for the stars when everyone said it was impossible. If this was going to be humanity's last fight, they would make it a fight the galaxy would never forget. Admiral Steve Parker stood on the bridge of his ship and stared at the screen. What he saw made his blood turn cold. In front of them was a ship unlike anything he had ever seen before. It was huge, maybe 10 times bigger than his own battleship. The hull was black as night and seemed to drink in the light from nearby stars. Sir, the energy readings are impossible, said Lieutenant Gary Stone. He was the ship's science officer. His hands shook as he read the numbers on his screen. That thing is putting out more power than our entire fleet combined. The black ship moved without making any sound. It turned toward them like a giant predator noticing prey. Along its sides, weapon ports opened like glowing eyes. All ships, this is Admiral Parker, he said into his radio. Fall back to defensive positions. Do not fire unless I give the order. But Admiral Parker knew that running away would not help. The ship in front of them was a Xenarch dreadnought. The nightmares from 300 years ago had come back. On shore, Earth's moon, Dr. Amy Foster worked in a laboratory deep underground. She had not slept in 3 days. Her team had been studying pieces of Xenarch technology that Earth's military had found in old battlefields. The technology was amazing and terrifying at the same time. The metal could change its shape. The computers could think and learn like living things. The weapons could adapt to any defense used against them. Look at this, said Dr. Kevin Hall, one of Amy's assistants. He pointed to a small piece of black metal on the lab table. I shot it with a laser yesterday. Today, the laser doesn't hurt it at all. The metal learned how to block that type of energy. Amy picked up the metal piece. It felt warm in her hands, almost alive. It's not just blocking the laser, she said. It's studying it, learning from it. Every attack makes it stronger. She put the metal down and looked at her team. If one small piece can do this, imagine what a whole ship can do. Every battle they fight, every weapon used against them, makes them harder to kill. Captain Tom Bradley was 3 days out from Earth when his ship's alarm started screaming. He was the captain of a small scout ship called the Ranger. His job was to watch the edges of human space and report back if he saw anything unusual. What he saw was more than unusual. It was impossible. "Count them again," he told his computer officer, Sarah Kim. "I've counted 5 times, sir," Sarah said. Her voice was quiet and scared. "There are over 300 ships out there. All of them are Xenarch design, and sir, they're not alone." Tom looked at the screen again. Mixed in with the black Xenarch ships were vessels he recognized. Fourth and Empire cruisers with their red and gold markings, crystal hegemony ships that looked like giant diamonds, even some Kresh Consortium raiders. "The aliens are working with them," Tom said. "They woke up the Xenarchs and made a deal with them." "What kind of deal would anyone make with the Xenarchs?" Sarah asked. Tom didn't answer. He was too busy recording everything he could see. Earth needed to know about this. The human race needed to know that their worst enemy had returned with new friends. Jake Morrison sat in a small room on a space station near the border of Council space. He was no longer Earth's ambassador. Now he was what people called a special envoy. His job was to find allies for humanity. So far, he had found none. The alien across from him was tall and thin with blue skin and 4 arms. His name was Counselor Vex, and he belonged to a species called the Altarians. The Altarians had been Earth's first friends in space. They had helped humans build their first starships and learn how to travel between worlds. "I'm sorry, Jake," Counselor Vex said. "I wish I could help you, but the Council has made its decision. Any species that helps humanity will be kicked out of the Council too." "What about friendship?" Jake asked. "What about all the times we helped your people?" Counselor Vex looked sad. "Friendship doesn't matter when survival is at stake. The Council believes that humanity is too dangerous to exist. If we help you, we will be destroyed along with you." Jake stood up to leave. As he reached the door, Counselor Vex spoke again. "There is something else you should know," he said. "The Xenarchs didn't wake up by themselves. Someone found their sleeping ships and turned them back on. Someone who knew exactly where to look and exactly how to do it." "Who?" Jake asked. I don't know," Counselor Vex said. "But whoever it was, they wanted this war to happen. They wanted the Xenarchs to come back, and they wanted humanity to be their first target." Back on Admiral Parker's ship, the situation was getting worse. The Xenarch dreadnought had moved closer. Its weapons were charging up. Energy readings showed that it could destroy Parker's entire fleet with one shot. "Sir, we're getting a message," said Communications Officer Linda Price. "It's not from the Xenarch ship. It's from one of the Vorthon cruisers behind it." The message played on the bridge speakers. The voice was cold and mechanical. "Human ships, you will surrender now. Your species has been judged and found guilty of crimes against the Galactic Order. You will be eliminated as an example to others who might challenge us." Admiral Parker looked at his crew. They were all young men and women who had joined Earth's Space Navy to explore the stars and protect their people. Now they faced an enemy that could learn from every attack and grow stronger with each battle. "Send a message back," Admiral Parker said. "Tell them that humans don't surrender. Tell them that if they want a fight, they'll get one." He turned to his weapons officer. "Charge all batteries, target the Xenarch ship. We may not be able to win this fight, but we're going to make them remember it." Outside, more Xenarch ships appeared from the darkness of space. They moved like a pack of wolves surrounding their prey. But Admiral Parker's ships didn't run. They formed a battle line and prepared to fight. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin. The first battle happened at Kepler Station. Commander Paul Evans had only 12 ships to defend the space station where 3,000 humans lived and worked. The enemy had 60 ships, including 5 of the black Xenarch dreadnoughts. Paul knew he could not win this fight, but he also knew he could not run away and leave the people on the station to die. "All ships form up on me," Paul said into his radio. "We're going to hit them fast and hard, make every shot count." The human ships moved forward in a tight formation. They were small and fast compared to the enemy vessels. Paul hoped speed would be enough. The first shots came from the human ships. Bright beams of energy struck the Xenarch vessels. For a moment, Paul thought they were winning. The enemy ships seemed to take damage. But then something terrible happened. The holes in the Xenarch hulls started to close up. The black metal flowed, like water, healing itself. Within minutes, the ships looked like they had never been hit at all. "Sir, they're adapting to our weapons," called out Lieutenant Nancy White from the weapons station. "The same shots that hurt them before aren't working anymore." The Xenarch ships fired back. Their weapons were different from anything Paul had seen. Instead of energy beams, they shot something that looked like living darkness. When the dark energy hit human ships, it ate through the metal like acid. Paul's flagship, the Defender, shook as enemy fire hit its shields. "Return fire," he ordered. "Use the plasma cannons." The plasma weapons seemed to work better. They burned through the Xenarch armor and left holes that took longer to heal. But even as Paul watched, the enemy ships were learning to defend against plasma too. "We can't keep this up," said his first officer, Lieutenant Dan Cooper. "Every weapon we use, they learn to stop it. We're running out of options." Paul looked at the tactical display. 5 of his ships were already destroyed. The others were badly damaged. The space station behind them was defenseless. "All ships, retreat to Earth," Paul ordered. "We've done all we can here." As the human ships limped away from the battle, Paul sent a message to Earth. The enemy was stronger than anyone had imagined. They could learn from every fight and become harder to kill. Humanity needed a new plan, and they needed it fast. On Earth, President Torres met with her advisors in the underground war room. The news from Kepler Station was bad, but it wasn't the worst news they had received that day. "How many colonies have we lost?" she asked General Davis. 17 so far, the general replied. "The enemy is moving fast. They're not just destroying our settlements. They're taking them apart piece by piece and studying everything. It's like they're learning about us." Kate Phillips stood up from her computer. "I have an update on the enemy fleet positions. They're not heading straight for Earth. They're moving in a spiral pattern, hitting our outer colonies first. It looks like they're hurting us." "Hurting us toward what?" President Torres asked. "Earth," Kate said. "They want us all in one place. They want to finish this war with one big battle." Dr. Amy Foster walked into the room carrying a small device. It looked like a metal box with wires and blinking lights attached to it. "I think I found something," she said. "The Xenarch technology has a weakness. It needs huge amounts of energy to keep adapting. And all that energy has to come from somewhere." She put the device on the table and turned it on. It made a high-pitched whining sound. "This is a resonance frequency generator," Amy explained. "It creates sound waves at a very specific frequency. When I tested it on the Xenarch metal samples, something interesting happened." Amy held up a piece of the black metal. She turned the device toward it and increased the power. The metal started to vibrate, then it began to crack. "The frequency disrupts their adaptive systems," Amy said. "It makes them use so much energy to maintain their structure that they can't adapt to new weapons at the same time." General Davis leaned forward. "Can we build weapons that use this frequency?" "Yes," Amy said. "But there's a problem. The frequency generators use enormous amounts of power. A ship can only fire a few shots before its energy systems overload." President Torres studied the device. "How long would it take to build these weapons and install them on our ships?" 2 weeks if we work around the clock," Amy said. "We don't have 2 weeks," General Davis said. "Intelligence reports show the enemy will reach Earth's solar system in 10 days. President Torres made her decision. "Do it anyway. Work with whatever time we have. And start evacuating non-essential personnel from Earth. If we lose this fight, at least some humans will survive." Dr. Ben Rodriguez had been working in his office for 3 days straight. He was trying to answer a question that bothered him. How did someone know where to find the sleeping Xenarch ships? How did they know how to wake them up? The answer came from an old data file he found in the Council archives. The file was 300 years old and talked about the end of the Xenarch War. According to the file, the Xenarchs weren't destroyed. They were put to sleep by someone who knew their technology very well. Ben read the file again to make sure he understood it correctly. The person who put the Xenarchs to sleep was the same person who could wake them up, and that person was still alive. His computer beeped with an incoming message. The message was from Counselor Vex, the Altarian who had spoken to Jake Morrison. "Dr. Rodriguez," the message said. "I have information about who awakened the Xenarchs. Meet me at the coordinates I'm sending you. Come alone. If others find out what I know, they will kill me." Ben looked at the coordinates. They were for a location in neutral space, halfway between Earth and Council territory. It would take him 2 days to get there in his small research ship. He looked out his window, at the stars. Somewhere out there, the enemy fleet was moving toward Earth. In 10 days, the final battle would begin. Ben hoped he could find the answers they needed before it was too late. As Ben prepared to leave Earth, he didn't know that he was walking into a trap. He didn't know that the person who awakened the Xenarchs was closer than he thought. And he didn't know that humanity's oldest ally was actually their greatest enemy. The war was about to enter its final stage, and the truth was more terrible than anyone could imagine. The final battle began in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Admiral Steve Parker had every human ship that could still fly positioned in a defensive line. 237 vessels, from massive battleships to small cargo, haulers with guns welded to their hulls. The enemy fleet was 10 times larger. Black Xenarch dreadnoughts moved like sharks through space, surrounded by hundreds of alien ships from species that had once called humans their friends. "All ships, this is Admiral Parker," he said into his radio. "Today we fight for our home. Today we fight for our families. Today we fight for the right of humanity to exist in this galaxy. Make them remember this day," Captain Lisa Warren commanded. The newest human battleship, the Liberty. Her ship carried the first of Dr. Foster's resonance frequency weapons. The weapon looked like a giant tuning fork attached to the front of the ship. "Frequency weapon charged and ready," reported her weapons officer, Lieutenant Mike Johnson. "Wait for my signal," Lisa said. "We only get a few shots with this thing. We have to make them count." The Xenarch ships fired first. Dark energy beams cut through space like black lightning. 3 human ships exploded before they could even return fire. "All ships, open fire," Admiral Parker ordered. The space between the 2 fleets lit up with weapons fire. Plasma cannons, laser beams, and missile trails crisscrossed like deadly fireworks. The human ships fought bravely, but they were outgunned and outnumbered. Within the first hour, 50 human vessels were destroyed. The Xenarch ships barely showed any damage. Their adaptive armor was already learning to defend against human weapons. "Sir, conventional weapons are becoming useless," reported Admiral Parker's tactical officer. "The enemy has adapted to almost everything we have." "Signal Captain Warren," Admiral Parker said. "It's time to try the new weapon." On the Liberty, Lisa Warren lined up her shot carefully. The largest Xenarch dreadnought was directly ahead, its black hull bristling with weapons. "Fire the resonance weapon," she ordered. The frequency generator hummed to life. A wave of invisible energy shot out from the Liberty and struck the Xenarch ship. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the enemy ship began to shake. Its black armor started to crack like broken glass. Sparks flew from its weapon ports as its systems overloaded. "It's working," Lieutenant Johnson shouted. "The ship is losing power." But the victory was short-lived. The Liberty's energy systems were overloading too. Warning alarms filled the bridge as power levels dropped to critical. "We can fire maybe 2 more shots," the ship's engineer reported. "After that, we'll have no power left for shields or engines." Meanwhile, Dr. Ben Rodriguez was aboard a small research ship flying toward Earth as fast as his engines could carry him. His meeting with Counselor Vex had revealed a terrible truth. The Altarians had awakened the Xenarchs. Earth's oldest allies had betrayed them. "They're dying," Counselor Vex had explained during their secret meeting. "The Altarian homeworld is running out of resources. Our population is shrinking. We need new planets to survive, but humans are expanding too fast. They're taking all the good worlds." "So you decided to kill us all?" Ben had asked in horror. "Not kill," Vex had said. "Remove. The Xenarchs will destroy human civilization, but some humans will survive. You'll be scattered and weak. Then we can take the planets we need." Now Ben was racing back to Earth with this information. The battle was already underway, but maybe it wasn't too late to use the truth as a weapon. Back in the asteroid belt, The fight was going badly for humanity. Despite the success of the resonance weapons, the humans were losing too many ships. For every Xenarch vessel they damaged, they lost 5 of their own. Commander Paul Evans led a desperate attack on one of the Xenarch command ships. His small squadron of fighters weaved between the enemy vessels, trying to get close enough to do damage. "Focus fire on the bridge section," Paul ordered. "Maybe we can cut off their command structure." The fighters dove toward the massive Xenarch ship like insects attacking a giant. Their weapons blazed as they strafed the enemy hull. Some of the shots got through the adaptive armor and left burning holes in the black metal. But as Paul watched, something strange happened. The ship wasn't just healing its wounds, it was sending signals to the other Xenarch vessels. The ships were sharing information about human tactics and weapons. They're not just individual ships, Paul realized. They're all connected. They learn as a group. Dr. Amy Foster was monitoring the battle from her laboratory on Earth's moon. She watched the energy readings from the resonance weapons with growing excitement and fear. "The frequency is working," she told her assistant, Dr. Kevin Hall. "But we're discovering something new. The Xenarch ships are all linked together through some kind of quantum network. If we can disrupt that network, we might be able to shut down their entire fleet." "How do we do that?" Kevin asked. Amy looked at her calculations. "We need to hit their command ship with multiple resonance weapons at exactly the same time. The combined frequency should create a cascade failure through their entire network." She opened a communication channel to Admiral Parker. "Admiral, I need you to coordinate all remaining frequency weapons on the largest Xenarch ship. Hit it with everything at once." Back in the battle, Admiral Parker received Amy's message. Only 4 ships with resonance weapons were still functional. It would have to be enough. "Liberty, Defiant, Victory, and Courage, this is Admiral Parker. Target the main enemy command ship. Fire all resonance weapons on my mark." The 4 ships lined up their shots. The Xenarch command ship was enormous, easily the size of a small moon. Dark energy crackled around its hull as it prepared to fire a weapon that could destroy half the human fleet. "All ships, fire now," Admiral Parker ordered. 4 resonance beams struck the command ship at the same instant. The effect was immediate and devastating. The ship didn't just shake, it screamed. A sound like breaking crystal filled space as the vessel's quantum network began to collapse. The cascade effect spread to every Xenarch ship in the fleet. One by one, their adaptive systems failed. Their weapons went silent. Their engines stopped working. But the battle wasn't over yet. The alien ships that had allied with the Xenarchs were still fighting, and they were angry that their powerful allies had been defeated. As the disabled Xenarch ships drifted helplessly in space, Jake Morrison's voice came over the radio from a distant communication station. "All human ships, this is Jake Morrison. I have information about who betrayed us. The Altarians are the ones who awakened the Xenarchs. They planned this whole war to steal our colonies." The revelation hit the human fleet like a shockwave. Their oldest friends had been their greatest enemies all along. Admiral Parker looked at the tactical display. The battle was won, but barely. Humanity had survived, but they had learned a hard lesson. In a galaxy full of species willing to kill them for their resources, humans could only depend on each other. "All ships begin rescue operations," Admiral Parker ordered. "Bring our people home." As the human fleet regrouped, President Torres spoke to the survivors from Earth. "Today we stood alone against impossible odds and won. We will never again trust others to decide our fate. From now on, humanity makes its own path among the stars." The galaxy had tried to destroy them, but humanity had proven they were stronger than their enemies had imagined. They would rebuild, they would grow stronger, and they would never forget the lessons learned in the darkness between the stars.